anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Thousands in Florida's largest retirement community joined a massive No Kinks protest, reflecting nationwide demonstrations against Trump administration policies and leadership dissatisfaction.
Donald Trump faces criticism for unverified sexuality claims about Iran's leader and overstating LGBTQ plus voter support when the data actually contradicts his assertions.
The Ohio House passes a bill restricting drag performances, raising alarms among LGBTQ advocates over criminalizing expression in everyday public presence.
South Carolina advances bill restricting transgender students' bathroom access. Critics warn it stigmatizes youth and reflects a growing nationwide trend in legislation.
Critics warned that interference in military promotions undermines the merit system after 4 diverse officers were removed. It's raising concerns about fairness and inclusion in the process.
All this important LGBTQ plus news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views, and we are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Monday, March 30th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ plus community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fete. Our magazine events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this very table and share their voices as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ plus community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back to the table anchor Kevin Lee. He's a 3-time #1 best-selling author, a transformational speaker, and intuitive life coach. This native Texan is on a mission to help you find your life purpose, spiritual fulfillment, and true happiness. Kevin, welcome back to the table. How are you, my friend?
Awesome to be back at the table with you guys. Good to see you all.
Good to see you.
You know, this weekend was pretty busy. We were celebrating my husband's 64th birthday.
Congratulations, Todd.
Super fun. And then I'm also putting together an event in Sarasota, something on the other side of the state for my spiritual community. I'm bringing a Lakota medicine man to the area to share his indigenous practices and beliefs with the community.
I love that.
We're probably at 60% capacity, so I'm super excited. It's all donations, and it goes to a really good cause. I'm big on indigenous rights and the history of America. And so I'm very touched by my experiences with him, what I've experienced. And so that's why I wanted to bring him and share him with Floridians. So that's my big to-do this month.
I love that. That's huge.
Yeah, if people are interested in anything indigenous related to this event, just come check out my website. I've got it listed there. It's iamkevinlee.com. And just go to the events page. And if you're interested, let's have a conversation and see if you're a good fit for that.
I love that. Please
awesome.
follow Kevin Lee for that. I mean, every year when it's Columbus Day and I tell people listen, I am not celebrating Columbus Day.
Yeah.
You cannot you can't find a place that was already inhabited.
Yeah.
Okay, so understand that.
I struggle at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
It's right. Kevin loves him some stuffing.
Yeah.
And some cranberry sauce.
We grew up playing
and all that.
Cowboys and Indians.
And I have a problem with what it represents.
Okay, but things like this are important because you get to educate folks. It's not something that you were doing because you wanted to be ill. It was that you didn't know. You were not educated in that sense.
And this raises that awareness on all those holidays and such, so that we do understand the history of our country and how we got to where we are, because they are underserved.
They need a voice. Indigenous people in general do not speak up like a lot of our other cultural groups speak up and get on platforms and get on the mic. And because of just the way they view the philosophy of living and life and serving. And for them to be aggressive is unacceptable as a people. So they typically get pushed to the back in the conversation. And so my little effort is an opportunity to just put them up on the pedestal so that they get a place
think about
to share.
Their ability to survive and prosper.
Yep.
They were literally taken from all the good land, if you want to call it that, and put in the swamps in Florida.
Right.
Like they were put in places that most people couldn't habitate. And somehow they managed to make those prosperous and successful. I think the best thing that ever happened is that they were allowed to put in gambling casinos and stuff for everybody else. Because it's their solemn land. Because good for them taking our money.
It's the least that this government can do. All right.
And the government's not doing it. We're paying it.
Yeah, that part. Well, Kevin Lee, thank you so much for being back at the table. You know that I adore having you at the table at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome back to the table anchor Glen Weinzimer. He has been a South Florida advocate for over 30 years, raising awareness and more than $16 million. That's million with an M. All right, for HIV/AIDS, for the HIV/AIDS community, for 20 plus years. And he's also a travel director and corporate events planner. Welcome back to the show. I finally find out what you do.
I know. I'm like in a coma most of the time. This has been a crazy year. I've not really been home since January 5th. With the exception of a couple of days here and there. I've been on a whirlwind of taking everything that's out there, and I'm excited. My next big trip is going to be to Munich. They're doing a riverboat cruise for a group.
Oh, I love.
I got to do that and goes from Munich to Budapest.
I love that. That's usually like smaller groups. It's usually like maybe like 100, 150 people.
And 200 people total on two separate boats that are 100 each. So the one I did 2 weeks ago was 14,000 people.
Oh, big difference.
Snap.
Big difference.
A big difference.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah. No, I am. Some good people on it, and I've worked with these folks for several years, so it'll be nice to see them again.
What kind of food do they eat in Budapest?
I don't know, but I'll report back to you as soon as I
mean, it says
out.
pest in their name.
There's no pest in Budapest.
Pesto. Pesto I'll do.
That's Italy.
Oh, okay.
I think we're not anywhere near
we're
Hungary.
Americans. We don't know geography.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think Hungarian food is more of like
goulash.
It's probably.
Oh,
I like Hungarian food.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. They got some good spices and everything, so I'm here for it. Glen Weinzimer, thank you for being back at the table at Queer News Tonight.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is a legendary events host, television, radio personality, and the host of Hotspots Happening Out, the FayWhat Show. Faye, funny Femmes comedy show lights up Miami Beach Pride on April 1st. Tell me what's happening out.
Yes, it's time to laugh, and don't we need to? All right, so Miami Beach Pride gets a bold, hilarious twist on Wednesday. That is this Wednesday, April 1st, with the Funny Femmes and Thems comedy show at O Cinema South Beach from 7 to 9 p.m. Produced by Outcoast Events, LLC. This April Fool's Day celebration brings together a powerhouse lineup of queer talent, including headliner Abby Ballin, 7, and featuring Rachel Cavello, who is super funny, and special guest performances by Chris and Alex, all hosted by FayWhat. All right, so expect raw, unfiltered, no-holds-barred comedy that celebrates sapphic voices and queer joy. The evening begins with a VIP social from 6 to 7, offering wine, appetizers, and a meet and greet with performers, along with premium seating. Open to all, this high-energy event centers queer women and non-binary performers in a space that's unapologetically fun and inclusive, and I, for one, cannot wait. I mean, when Rachel asked me to be a part of this, to MC this, I was like, oh my God, of course. I'm not funny. How is this going to work, right?
That was my next question. You're a great host. You know how to manage the crowd and deal with all kinds of people. You're quick-witted, but that's a lot of pressure.
That is.
With all those people.
That's why I'm going to leave it up to those ladies and those days and thems to really bring the funny, right?
I get to do the absolute opposite and do something completely dry. Like everything that no one laughs at, like just dumb dad jokes.
Just
spoken word, exactly. And then let them take the cake.
Just like a love letter to Trump. Like just something really random, right?
That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Wow. I can't wait to do this. I think this is such a great way to start celebrating Miami Beach Pride. That's right around the corner. And doing something at O Cinema. These cinemas that are doing wonderful things. They play a lot of movies from overseas and stuff like that. And we really have to support theaters like that and live events like this. So the independent films, exactly. So come on out. Let's have a great time. And, you won't be upset that you came. You're going to leave there laughing and giggling and going, oh man, those girls are funny. And we'll have a great time doing it.
It's going to be awesome. Listen, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Funny Femmes Comedy Show on April 1st.
I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Record No Kings protests in Florida retirement hub reflects growing national dissent. In Florida's largest retirement community, thousands gathered Saturday for what organizers called the biggest No Kings protest yet. Crowds stretched more than 3 miles along Morse Boulevard near Lake Sumter Landing with over 5,500 demonstrators. Rochelle Larson of Villagers for Democracy said, quote, folks have had enough of the Trump administration's incompetence and cruelty. We are telling the Republicans in Congress and the Trump administration that Americans have had enough, and we will continue to protest until this administration is out of office, end quote. A second major turnout was reported at the Warm Springs and Marsh Bend intersection, where 1,250 protesters gathered, triple the previous event. Organizers also counted about 8,000 vehicles and 1,300 golf carts passing the demonstration. Participants included members of Deaf for Democracy and visitors from across the U.S. and abroad. Nationwide, organizers estimate at least 8 million people joined more than 3,300 protests across all 50 states, making it one of the largest single-day demonstrations in U.S. history. And I am here for it. When the villages with golf carts start protesting, politicians should be very nervous, okay? Because we've always talked about from this table about how the villages used to be very Trumpy.
Yep.
That was like Trump country. And right before when Kamala was running, when she had the 90 days to run, like nobody's business, they also came out with their golf carts in support of Kamala. And that was also very surprising. The quote says it all. At this point, Trump's administration and all their decisions have impacted everybody, and negatively, for the most part, So even folks that have beaucoup bucks in the bank are also feeling this, and they've had enough.
They've been savings for their retirement their entire lives. The market is unstable. So, for them,
Social Security's down.
Social Security's down. There's just so many issues, medical assistance, all of that is down, and it's directly affecting all of these people.
Yep.
And this is just a small microcosm of what's happened throughout our state. I went to one of the rallies. It wasn't the biggest, but it was much bigger than it's ever been. And then there was a huge one on the beach that they couldn't make, but you're just seeing more and more folks coming out, speaking their piece and saying enough is enough. Hopefully this is enough, and, we're going to get rid of him somehow, but it's just crazy what's happened to all of us and how we've all suffered, whether you're a young person trying to get into college or whether you're a senior person trying to enjoy the last few years of your life. You know, it's bad enough you're driving around a golf cart all day. I mean, how far can you go?
With the loofah on it, right?
It's got a cup holder. Come on.
It's got a cup holder and you're just going around in circles. We're up to 30. Everyone shakes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, next thing you know, they'll be putting seatbelts in those things.
Well, there's a place in Miami near Tropical Park, right, where they have protested for Trump, right, ever since Trump's first presidency. And so in that same spot was one of the biggest No Kings rally on Saturday. And it was crazy to see that same space that is usually filled with so much hate, instead filled with all these people that want change and want it now. But there were still Trumpers driving by yelling horrible things to the protesters that were there.
It was also interesting because Coral Ridge, where I was, during the Trump administration, the streets were just filled with Trumpers and their flags and coming up and down. And at one point, I saw a truck go by with all these American flags on it, and then what looked like the original Trump black with the stars at the top and stuff. And I was like, really? And then I looked, and it was like F Trump. Oh! And I was like, that is brilliant. But I only saw, I think, 3 people really, act up against or give us the finger or something. But everyone who passed could not have, they were all honking their horns and stuff. It was very inspirational to be amongst everyone and feeling that even from cars that were driving by that didn't come to the protest or were protesting in their own way.
Well, and I love just people's creativity, right? For their signs, right? Like, F Trump is the least of them. You know what I mean? And just please look it up on social media. I mean, from the Epstein files to immigrants, I mean, everything was represented, and just in a way, so clever. I mean, it was like, come on, do you have gay consultants or what? Because it was so clever, Now, what we were talking at this table before Queer News Tonight today was we hope that those 8 million people that were out there protesting remember that the midterms are coming in November. That I hope that they remember to check their registration, because they're trying to get you.
Take a neighbor with you.
Why do you say that? Oh, yeah, of course.
Bring your neighbors along. If they don't know how to, they can't drive or they're whatever infirmed. Bring them with you. Like 100%. Make sure that everyone comes out, that your family comes out, your kids come 100%.
out. 100%.
Anyone who is legal to vote needs to come out and speak up, because we've seen some of these elections where it's only 200 votes that make the difference. I mean, it's that close in so many places. So everything matters.
Every little one. Look what happened in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, to get some, look at that smile. That right there is a nice little middle finger to that guy. You know what I mean? And it brings a smile to our faces.
It does.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Check your voter registrations, please. Okay.
I'm Kevin Lee, and let's queer up politics. Trump claims Iran's new leader is gay and cites, quote, YMCA, end quote, and gay support for his own win. President Donald Trump is drawing criticism after making unverified claims again about Iran's leadership and overstating his own support among LGBTQ plus voters as the Iran conflict continues. Speaking on Fox News' The Five, Trump said U.S. intelligence suggested Iran's new supreme leader, the Ayatollah Mojtaba Khomeini, is gay. Trump said, quote, well, they did say that, but I don't know if it was only them. I think a lot of people are saying that, end quote. There is no public evidence supporting that claim, and U.S. intelligence agencies do not confirm such information. In Iran, homosexuality remains criminalized and can be punishable by death. Trump has also criticized gays for Palestine, adding, quote, they kill gays, they throw them off the buildings, end quote, while defending U.S. policy toward Iran. The president further claimed that he did very well with the gay vote, referencing his use of YMCA, a disco anthem by the Village People, at campaign rallies. However, data contradict that assertion. According to NBC News exit polls, Kamala Harris received about 86% of the LGBTQ plus votes in 2024, compared to roughly 12% for Trump. This is crazy. My nursing diagnosis for Trump is this: delusions of grandeur, and also pathologic liar. How about that? Nothing new, sadly, here. His comments are nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Once again, we all know that. I personally cannot support nations, belief systems, philosophies of life, religions that find sport and find joy in the religious morality of throwing queer people off buildings.
God.
And I get that the gay community, the queer community wants to support and oppress people because we've been suppressed. But I think there are other areas for us to focus on. That's not really a priority right now. I think we need to focus on our own country and see what we can do locally in our own borders. That's just my opinion. Anybody else have?
I'm so sick of Trump, Kevin. Like, I mean, like, can I say
right?
that? I'm
can we
so
get
sorry.
an inoculation, a vaccine?
No, it's just like, it's like, wow. Like, for, it's just, it happens over and over and over. I mean, Trump bringing up the YMCA again.
Right.
Yeah.
Playing a disco song does not mean the gays voted for you. That's not how elections
Just
work.
another distraction.
You know?
I'd like to do an unofficial survey right now because he claims that so many of us voted for him. Did anyone at this table vote for Trump?
No.
Okay, well, 100% disagree with what he said.
100%.
So it's an
Exactly.
unofficial survey, so don't quote me on it. But
And Jesus didn't vote for him either, so there you go.
There you go. There you
have
go.
it.
But I mean, I worry about the gay folks in that country. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, you can't say
Always.
things but you can't say things like that.
Yeah.
That's how you get people executed.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
and he says it just very loosely, como nada, like anything. Yeah, they throw them off buildings. Like,
Exactly.
like, no surprise, and we may do it here if he has his way.
Yeah.
But
Scary
we support
thought.
him. I'm Glen Weinzimer, and let's queer up drag culture. The Ohio House passes a bill restricting drag and transgender public expression. The Republican-controlled Ohio House has passed House Bill 249, a measure that would restrict drag and gender performances and disproportionately target transgender Ohioans. The bill cleared the chamber in a 63-30 vote, largely along party lines, and now heads to the Senate.
So long as I'm alive, I'm going to prevent perverts from exposing kids to obscene material. We work time and time again to do it, but as soon as we add any language to stop you from pushing your agenda on our children, the left is in opposition. So why do I need to do that? Well, our definitions say you can't expose female breasts. Well, what if a person identifies as male when they do it? Does it apply to them? We don't know yet. It hasn't been litigated. The definitions talk about male genitalia. Well, what if a person identifies as female? Is that a male genitalia or a female genitalia? All we're saying is, regardless whether you're wearing fake breasts or their actual breasts, don't expose them to a kid. Doesn't matter if you have an actual male genitalia or you're wearing a device to simulate it. Don't expose it in front of kids. Like, these are simple things that are bipartisan. It shouldn't be an issue. And all this bill does is say you can't engage in obscene performances in the presence of a minor. So anybody that's in opposition, stand on this floor and explain why you want kids exposed to obscene material.
Titled the Enact the Indecent Exposure Modernization Act, end quote, the language of the legislation would ban drag and gender performances outside of adult cabaret venues, effectively criminalizing drag in public spaces where minors might be present. Obscenity in public performances is already prohibited under existing Ohio law. The bill includes language regulating performers who present a gender identity different from their biological sex, raising concerns among LGBTQ plus advocates about its broader implications. A separate provision redefining a person's private part as a private area could impact transgender and gender nonconforming individuals using public facilities. Opponents strongly criticize the measure. Equality Ohio CEO Dwayne Stewart says, quote, "This bill takes regular everyday activities and turns them into potential crimes," end quote. We've seen this here in South Florida with our governor and passing bills just like this, and we were up in arms over that happening. He's making a case against something that doesn't exist. The number of transgender children that are going to be affected. First of all, how many transgender children are affected or going through that process? But as far as going to a performance, parents have control over whether you go see an R movie or an X-rated movie or whatever it is. If they choose to take you to a Pride festival and there's a like we had here, reading to transgender reading to a child, that's entertainment. They're not trying to change their belief habit, not trying to convert them. Yeah. So this just goes back to a lot of stuff that we have rehashed here so many times about what happened in Florida. Yeah. And it's a shame that it is spreading across the nation.
It was, you were talking about drag queen story time, right? And like, you know, such a beautiful, powerful moment. Misty Eyes does it every year for My Hollywood Pride. And she wears this beautiful dress and her makeup is flawless. And these kids sit around her while she reads them a beautiful book about being themselves, being authentic, understanding what love is, and being nice to everybody. That's really what the story was about. And you know, and it's such a moving, right? And you see the parents just happy to see their kid and being entertained. That's it, you know. I have a lot of drag queen friends and I hang out with a lot of them. 3 tights these bitches put on. 3 tights. I mean, there is no indecency to be shown because it's impossible to do that, you know? If your government is scared of drag queens, your government is not very strong. Drag is wigs, glitter, Mariah Carey, not a public safety crisis, you know? At this point, some politicians think a man in a dress is more dangerous than guns. Okay, and that math is not mathing.
No, and that's an absolute true statement. Because after mass murders in schools and things like that, they come out and say, well, they had the right to have that. But if a child may use a male using a female bathroom, that's like, holy hell, the whole world is just
very good point. Very good point. You know, this whole drag thing is dangerous, is ridiculous. And the concept of how a person identifies and performing in public spaces, and it could offend children. How is this any different than the theater? This bill really drag is theater. And in theater, they literally for thousands of years have been gender non-conforming.
Shakespeare.
They change genders on stage to imply different roles and to enact different scenes. And so if the Ohioans really want to be really want to stand up and fight this bullshit bill, they really need to expand that and include the theater. And let's see what happens with that, because there's a lot of those political families that go to theater, like we all do, but it will impact the theater scene, and then they'll rise up and they'll complain and just do something, speak up, because this implies other people, not just drag.
And sadly, most people think that doesn't involve me. It's not my family, so I don't really care. So they don't stand up, they don't come out, they don't say their piece until it affects them personally.
Drag is an art, drag is entertainment, and drag is like the foundation of our LGBTQ plus, community. You know, but again, it's entertainment, right?
Like as Kevin said, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I mean, and you said it as well. I mean, back then, everybody played every role. And women really weren't on the stage. It was the men. And they were in dresses and played the role, and everyone accepted it. Why is it suddenly an issue today?
Exactly.
Because it's like, squirrel, look over here while we're doing all this over here.
It's another distraction, which he's famous for.
I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up students and youth culture. South Carolina Senate passes bill restricting transgender student bathroom access statewide. The South Carolina Senate has passed a bill restricting transgender students' access to bathrooms and locker rooms, advancing it to the GOP-controlled House. House Bill 4756, also known as the South Carolina Student Physical Privacy Act, passed in a 35-2 vote, with 2 Democratic senators opposing it. The legislation would apply to public K-12 schools and colleges, requiring multi-user restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities to be used based on sex assigned at birth. Schools must offer alternative options, such as single occupancy restrooms, for students unable or unwilling to comply. The bill does not require the construction of new restrooms, but could allow the use of a portable restroom facility if necessary to meet that letter of the law. The act includes enforcement provisions that could reduce state funding for non-compliant school districts. Supporters describe the bill as a privacy safeguard, while opponents argue it could stigmatize transgender students and increase risks of harassment or forced outing. The vote reflects a broader national trend as Republican-led states increasingly regulate access to everyday spaces like bathrooms and dorms. At least 21 states have enacted similar policies so far. The bill includes limited exceptions, such as for emergencies. State Representative John King, a Democrat, has raised concerns about the legislation's intent. He said, quote, "We're starting the session off with a tone and tenor of picking on transgender people. My concern is that we are in search of a problem that isn't even there," end quote. God, I can't believe we're talking about this the day before, the day before Trans Day of Visibility. Like that irks me like nobody's business. You know, we have officially reached the point where lawmakers are more focused on bathrooms than classrooms. Mm-hmm. Schools need teachers, funding, and safety, but instead we're measuring people at the door like it's a theme park ride, all right? Leave these kids alone. You're putting a target on their back by putting them in the porta potty or putting them in the other bathroom. You just labeled them other just by doing that. Kids don't need that.
It's, if you go back to slavery, it's not much different. You can't, because you're
whites only bathroom?
Right, whites only bathroom.
Oh,
it's
my
the same
God.
kind of thing. You know, different color. Obviously, you can't compare the two things completely, but it is what we used to do. You were singled out and you had to go somewhere else. You had to sit in the back of the bus. You had to sit in the back of the classroom. Yeah. Like these transgender kids are being, and how many of them are there that are requesting
less than 1% of the population. Right. Okay, so how many are there?
So in Ohio, and this, you know what I mean? Like how many people are there? Yeah. Talking about 2, 3, 4 kids? And the whole state is in an uproar over that. And to your point, like the world is on fire, and that's what you're worried about. Yeah. Funding is an issue. Education is an issue. Teachers are an issue. Safety for our own personal lives is an issue.
And how does this stretch to colleges? How are they able to even mess with somebody that's over 18 when they're a law-abiding citizen at that point, unless maybe it's a private school? Then I can see that.
We had bathrooms that were used by both men and women when I was in college. The showers were also in the same area. We had curtains.
Hot.
Yeah. Well, depends on what you're looking for.
That's different.
I was like, get out of my bathroom. Wow. Where did that guy with the muscles go? He's next door. I've been stalking him and he went to the other bathroom.
I'm Kevin Lee, and let's queer up the USA view. Hegseth faces backlash over military promotions and biases. Criticisms is intensifying after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth intervened in a routine military promotion process, removing 4 officers from a list of a list that was recommended from promotion to 1-star general. The decision, first reported by the New York Times, has raised concerns among former military officials and advocates who warn that it could undermine a system designed to reward merit and performance. Senior Army leader told the the Times that they supported the original candidates and resisted efforts to alter the list. The officers were qualified and the process is intended to remain free from outside influence. Retired Space Force Colonel Bree Fram, now running for Congress in Virginia, called the move, quote, another outrageous abuse of power, end quote. According to the Times, the 4 removed officers include 2 women and 2 black men. However, Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell has disputed the report, telling The Hill that it is, quote, full of fake news from anonymous sources who have no idea what they're talking about and are far removed from actual decision makers within the Pentagon, end quote. You know, this, again, smoke and mirrors deflection. This is, in my opinion, white privilege once again reigns supreme. And the Pentagon has an infection, and I think they need a shot of penicillin. It's a little bit bizarre to me. I don't know what else I have to say about it.
I don't know. I mean,
it's just bizarre.
I think that you summed that up. The reality is that Hegseth is a racist piece of POS. And like, what is scary is that they don't even try to hide this stuff anymore, right?
No
it's just like, hold on, let's go down this list. 2 girls, get those bitches out of here. All right. Oh, they're black, get them out of here. You know what I mean? Like,
right. They have no comeback. They couldn't say, well, we've just promoted 12 black women and 12, but they can't say it. They don't have it.
Well, they have this government sense of power, and so they don't feel the need to explain anything. So that's why they're being very dismissive with this. And it's a shame for our country. And we have 3 more years to put up with this mess, and then we have to clean up the mess. And hopefully by then, in 3 or 4 or 5 years, we can have a lot more people of color, women, men, people, people of different transgender presence in different political positions, and I'm living for it.
You know, we were talking before the show about how there's something about folks in the armed forces. There's something about how they're built. It's something about how they're trained to love this country more than the country loves them, you know, and there's something just so incredible about that. I have close friends who are ex-military, and to this day, you can't tell them something negative about.
They're so devoted.
They're so devoted, you know, and it gets worse and worse. So to those folks out there that are still representing our community, I mean, like, you know, we're everywhere. There's gay people in the military, big surprise. You know what I mean?
In high positions.
You know, I know a beautiful transgender woman that was let go from the military after like 10 years of service, you know, that was her life. That was her life. And now she's had to reinvent herself and do something different. You know, so it's sad that folks still want to fight, you know, for this country so much. I mean, we're at war right now. You know, folks are being deployed now that, like, you know, years ago would be at a cushy desk job. You know, things are serious right now. Things are scary right now. Yet folks still want to go and lay down their life for this country. And I'm always blown away by that.
I bless them for doing that. You know,
and most government workers are nonpartisan. You know, in the judiciary and the DOJ, they've always traditionally been nonpartisan. They do what's right for the American people, for the government, for our continuity. They're not, it doesn't matter who's in office, they still do what is the right thing. The same thing with the military. They follow because they want to protect our country from, you know, foreign invaders, but we're creating foreign invaders that don't necessarily exist right now.
Sure.
You know, going after Iran and stuff. But, you know, I don't want to lose sight of this topic of those that are being discriminated against, but it's a bigger problem.
Oh, yeah.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Billie Eilish's alleged stalker dies in train accident. A man previously accused of stalking singer Billie Eilish has died after being struck by a train in Long Island, New York. Pernell Rousseau, 30, was killed by reportedly jogging, quote, on or near, end quote, train tracks in Westbury. Authorities have classified the incident as an accident with no indication of foul play. Rousseau gained attention in May 2020 when Eilish obtained a temporary restraining order after he allegedly appeared uninvited at her Los Angeles home multiple times. Court filings stated that he returned repeatedly and refused to leave and displayed erratic behavior. Well, mental health challenges are real. We see it in every community. This is another perfect example of somebody who's definitely challenged. He clearly was challenged. He needed more access to mental health treatment than he did to train tracks, clearly, because something was going on, whether he was just not paying attention or maybe his intent was to end his life. You never know. When somebody's mentally unstable, nothing holds them back. They're willing to do things that most of us have social boundaries of doing. So this gentleman definitely needed some support and attention. Feel bad for him. But yeah, any thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I mean, he obviously had some mental issues. You know, this case that was brought originally was more than 6 years ago. I think it's when you said 2020. And here he is, you know, doing jogging, and maybe that was part of his mental health. But maybe. You don't end up on the tracks unless you plan to be on the tracks or someone has pushed you on the tracks. Wow. And they're saying nothing nefarious happened. So you just kind of go, a life lost, and, you know, what could we have done differently as a society to prevent that and so many others that happened? So it's a good wake-up call to awareness again.
Yeah, why was he not when he was stalking? I'm sure he went to court. I'm sure there was something judicial process. Why didn't he go for mental health? Why didn't the judge demand that he go for some sort of treatment?
And they could have, but doesn't mean he's going to follow it.
And maybe he did, and it wasn't enough. Maybe it wasn't right. So
well, to all my stalkers out there, that shit could happen to you too. You might want to leave me alone.
Just remember, this is 1205 train
just saying.
This way.
I'm just saying.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Tomb Raider series pauses after Sophie Turner's injury, raising uncertainty over production timeline. Production on the upcoming Tomb Raider series from Amazon MGM Studios has paused after star Sophie Turner suffered a minor injury. The studio told Dateline, quote, Sophie Turner recently experienced a minor injury. As a precaution, production has briefly paused to allow her time to recover. We look forward to resuming production as soon as possible, end quote. Filming is expected to halt for 2 weeks, though some reports suggest delays could extend up to 6 months. Crew members are reportedly still being paid. Turner plays Lara Croft, a figure widely embraced as a queer icon for her strength and unconventional persona. It's just interesting that it's a minor incident, but it's only supposed to be 2 weeks, but it can last up to 6 months. That's not a minor incident if you can't come back for 6 months. Yeah, like the story doesn't make any sense to me.
Was it Amazon, the Amazon Prime?
It was Amazon and MGM, I think.
Oh, okay, okay.
Wow.
Listen, delays cost money, okay? Call Angelina Jolie. She ain't doing anything. All those kids are all grown up now. She'll fit right in. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. A Trump official's daughter claims unwed women vote poorly without the security of a man. Avita Duffy Alfonso, daughter of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Fox News host Rachel Campos Duffy, made a few comments during a recent episode of Human Events with Jack Posobiec. The internet is fighting back. Duffy Alfonso said, quote, "If you're an unmarried woman, what is missing? It's the security of a male," end quote. She argued that single women are drawn to the Democratic Party for stability, adding that many see it as offering free things and social programs, and, quote, "and so they vote very, very poorly," end quote. Really, I mean, and like with what? Okay, so I was looking at this Alfonso lady, right? And she's super pretty, but her husband seems very gay, right? I don't know if that
he's got some fierce eyebrows.
He's prettier.
I need to go see his eyebrow guy.
And you know that your eyebrows are on point, but he's on it. He's on it. Point. You know how you're always saying about deflecting. This is deflecting to the fullest. All right, like don't look at us. You know, my husband is literally my beard, right?
Well, she said she married her bestie, so okay.
Her best gay boy. Yes, she did. You know, I mean, but these sexist remarks are just so disgusting. And again, so easily thrown around like not a big deal. I mean, like, ugh.
It's ignorance on legs. Yeah, ignorance on legs. She's got a platform to speak. Yuck. And, as the daughter of two influential Republicans, she's clearly been programmed since birth to remain ignorant. So it's all we can say.
I'm surprised your head, Faye, didn't explode while you were telling that story and that you got through it with a straight face. Because that, as you get to that, the women vote poorly. However they phrased it. Poorly.
I've been able to vote for Kamala last time, so I think I did pretty good. Before that, I didn't vote for Trump either, so I think I did pretty good. It's just
maybe other decisions in your life if you had a good man behind you. It really have skyrocketed. Maybe you wouldn't be doing Queer News Tonight or the FayWhat show. Maybe you'd be on national TV.
Maybe I'd be on Fox News.
Yeah, and you'd have to be a blonde.
And have to call my name Faye Smith. I'd have to change my last name too.
Right.
Wow.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Gay Survivor winner Richard Hatch ordered to pay $3.3 million in unpaid taxes. Out reality TV pioneer and Survivor winner Richard Hatch has been ordered to pay more than $3.3 million in unpaid taxes and penalties tied to his 2000 winnings. A federal judge in Providence, Rhode Island, ruled that Hatch owes delinquent income taxes for 2000, 2001, and 2012. The 64-year-old, who made history as the first winner of Survivor, has long disputed the claims. Hatch, representing himself, has appealed the ruling to the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston. Previously convicted of tax evasion in 2006, Hatch served more than 4 years in prison. He maintains his innocence and says he believes he will win the appeal. Oh,
take it away.
What a sad story for us to report. It is kind of sad because it's one of our own behaving badly and supposedly, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And I truly believe that, failing to file your taxes, for 3 different years, plus going to jail, it just tells me that we need to buy some more s'mores, because I think there'll be more to this story as this unfolds. So what do you think?
Good point. No, there's a good point, right? Like there's something missing, So he won Survivor a million years ago, folks, all right? All you millennials don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Look it up, okay? 26 years ago he won, and he would be out there naked, and it was like a big deal because he was out there naked, and he was gay, and he was openly gay, and he won the whole thing. And at that time, I think the winnings was like 1.2 million, all right? Which is nothing, that's a great amount of money, right? And then you get appearances. You get paid, to appear at different places, at different conventions and stuff like that. 3 years is not a long time, okay? You could tell the government, I need an extension on these years, and they'll give you as much time as you want, as long as you keep on putting those extensions in, right? And you start paying some of it or something like that. But taxes is how they get you, folks. Like queer people, gay people, rich people, okay? Like if you're queer or you're brown and black and you're queer and you got money, do your taxes, because that's how they get you. And obviously, he didn't even learn from, he was 3 years in prison. He was holding somebody's pocket in jail, okay? If you don't know what that means, watch Oz, okay? And that didn't teach him? I mean, I got arrested once. Trust, I never got arrested again, okay? I learned real quick, okay, from that. And that just like boggles my mind that he owes that much money in back taxes.
And that he's representing himself.
Yes.
And what do they say? What do they say about a person who represents themselves?
Is this a quiz? Because now I'm nervous and I'm not going to come up with the right answer.
That you have an idiot for a client.
Like assume?
That you haven't. Kind of like assume like you have an idiot for a client.
Yes.
You never represent yourself. But you know why? Because he's got no money to get a lawyer.
He probably can't pay it back because the money's long gone. And he paid his taxes, unless you don't file for taxes when you're in jail. I really don't know how that works. But it showed like 11 years where he actually paid his taxes.
Yes.
So that $3 million is going back to the very beginning for like 3 years. Then he pays them, everything's fine. Then he doesn't pay them again.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I agree with Kevin. There's something missing there. Something like
the bonfire's still burning. Get your s'mores, whatever else you like,
missing a marshmallow,
because the story will return.
You may melt the chocolate on a graham cracker.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight, and our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and your family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is, quote, out of the closet and into the headlines, end quote.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Kevin Lee and Glen Weinzimer. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a good night.